but I did research today. And now we have another tier list to make. I looked up a bunch of like what snacks are only in Canada, and I looked up a bunch of lists, and this is like the general consensus of the snacks and foods and whatnot. So we're just gonna go through and decide together what these things should be. Arrow bar! It's like, can you feel the bubbles melt or something? But Arrow is like bubbly chocolate. Is that the best way to describe it? There's bubbles in it and you're like supposed to feel the bubbles melt. But it's like C tier. If you get it in Halloween, like a Halloween mix, it's gonna be the last thing left in the Halloween mix. Like there's better options. All dressed chips, like I'm not always a chip person, but I'll go for some all dressed chips sometimes. So that can be A tier. That could be A tier. If they took all of the flavors and just tossed them into chips. It's good. The next one is banana marshmallows. And I looked for them at the dollar store and I couldn't find them. Like, I remember buying them at the dollar store as a child. I walked down all of the aisles and I couldn't find these dang banana marshmallows. But I remember liking them as a kid, but I wanted to buy them because I don't know if I would like them now. So just because I haven't had them since I was a kid, they might be a C tier. Like I wouldn't eat a whole bag of them, that's for sure. But they do taste like medicine, just a little bit. Like child's banana flavored medicine is these banana marshmallows. The next is Beaver Tails, which is just like fried dough with whatever toppings you want on them, and they're served warm, and you get them at like fairs and stuff. And I had like the Beaver Tails, yes! I had one a couple weeks ago and I got a Beaver Tail, and it was like, it was this one exactly in the picture with like the Nutella and the bananas, and it was so good. So good! That's S tier. Beaver Tails, S tier. They're so good. The next is Bigfoot. It's just like Swedish fish, but they're shaped like a foot. It has like the big toe is sticking out, and it's called, you can slightly see it in the picture there. It's like, they're okay. They're like B. Bigfoot, B. Like I'd get Swedish fish instead of Bigfoot, but I'll eat them. They're good. Right after Bigfoot is Big Turk. It's chocolate covered jubes, but as a chocolate bar. What do I think of Big Turks? They're like medium okay, yeah. Like if you're despy. As a child, I would refuse. Like I saw the inside and was like, that is not for me, no thank you. So I'll put them C tier. Like as an adult, I'll eat them, but for the pure appeal factor, they aren't very cute. So they're a C. Like that's not what I'm buying if I'm going to buy candy. Bounty is like just so much coconut covered in chalk. Might be controversial, but I'm gonna say D tier. They're just so dry. It's just like so much coconut, like dried coconut. Honestly, when I saw this next one on the list of Canadian only snacks, I was so confused. I didn't know butter tarts were Canadian only. Like, are you okay? Are you guys okay that you don't have butter tarts? At McMaster, they sold like giant butter tarts at the convenience store on campus, and and during break of my night class, like every Monday or something, I'd make him go with me to the convenience store so that I could have a butter tart for the second half of class, because we'd go on our break. It's S tier. It's S tier. They're so good. These cheesies, specifically this brand of cheesies, is Canadian only. I was hunting Dollarama to try and find these cheesies, but I couldn't find them. Next up is Coffee Crisp. Probably my favorite chocolate bar. Like if I'm going to buy a chocolate bar, it's gonna be Coffee Crisp. So it's not S tier. Like it's not as good as a Beaver Tail or a Butter Tart, but it's A tier. The next up is Hershey's Cookies and Cream. It's just a white chocolate bar with like little pieces of an Oreo cookie in it. They're very good. It was my go-to chocolate bar as a child because I was convinced I didn't like milk chocolate. I was like, I'm having white chocolate or nothing. But I've since grown out of that. But for the happiness it provided me as a child, I'm going to say it's an A tier. The next one's corn nuts. And like, what a bad snack. They're just like dried nuts of some sort with like the tiniest bit of flavoring on them, and they're awful. Like I cannot see how anyone would go to the store to buy corn nuts. Crispy Crunch, I'm gonna say C, no, B. I had them, the little ones at Halloween. The little ones at Halloween. The next is Hickory Sticks. They're chips, but they're tiny little sticks instead of like chip-sized chips, and they taste like hickory and they're smoky, and I'll put them in B tier. They're usually very salty and make me thirsty, but that's okay. Joe Louis. I saw these at the dollar store and I almost grabbed them, but then I didn't want to have a box of 12 Joe Louis just sitting here. But they're fine. They're like a little treat that you can put in your lunchbox, take it to school. They come individually packaged. They're fine. Like, they're not bad. Kinder Eggs. I know my mods told me Americans have Kinder Eggs, but they don't have the toys in them. So like, what's the point? The toys suck now. Like, they're just like, here's some stickers. It used to be like a little Lego and you'd get pieces to build it all together, and the chocolate's kind of okay. What's the point? They're fine. The chocolate's not fantastic. The toys kind of suck now. They'll be C tier. Kraft Dinner. Kraft Dinner. Also, didn't fully know this was Canadian only, but I have Kraft Dinner more often than I'd like to admit, because as a vegetarian, sometimes the other food being prepared in the house doesn't fit my dietary needs, and I don't want to make my own meal all alone, so I just make Kraft Dinner instead. So Kraft Dinner for providing me meals, getting me through university, is A tier. Next up, the one that will cause drama. Ketchup Chips. What I wouldn't do is, like, normally if I'm going to buy chips, it's not gonna be ketchup, but everyone hates on ketchup chips so much, and they aren't as bad as the hate makes them out to be. They're still good. Like, my grandma will buy ketchup chips, and I'll have a chip or two at grandma's house. Ketchup chips are solid B tier. The next is Macintosh, which is just like, it's the size of a chocolate bar, but it's just like a thing of caramel. Sometimes, like, if you leave it too long, sometimes it gets too hard and you have to like bite it off with the side of your teeth. Carly, I had braces twice for a collective like 7 years. Macintosh haunts me to this day. I can't. R.I.P. my teeth. So taste is like a B tier. My teeth, put it down to a C tier. Maltesers, We're also at the dollar store, but I saw them on my way out and I'm mad about it. But Maltesers are so good. They're Whoppers, but Canadian. Maltesers, A tier for sure. A tier for sure. Maple cookies. It's just like 2 cookies with like a maple cream inside. They're shaped like a maple leaf. They're good, but they're so sweet. But they're good. They're good. They're gonna be B tier. The next is maple syrup. I know it exists other places, but when I asked my mom what Canadian foods, she said syrup. So I added it because what mom says goes. So we've got syrup here. What tier should it go on? What tier should maple syrup go on? Definitely not gonna just snack on maple syrup. Is it S tier? S tier? Okay. And straight up mini eggs right after, also S tier. Mini eggs are so good. There's no reason they should be so good because in concept they're the same thing as Smarties, but like they're so much better than Smarties. But next up, Smarties go in D tier because they just taste like the cardboard box that they come in. Smarties are so bad. I'm also putting Rockets in D tier. Because they kind of taste like chalk. Rockets taste like chalk. The next thing is Mr. Noodles. Another thing I didn't know was Canadian only, but that's gotta be A tier because that's what I have. Like if I'm sick, I'm having Mr. Noodles. Your chalk. Next is Nanaimo Bars. S tier for sure. I don't even know what the filling is. Is it custard? I don't know. But it's like chocolate and then some type of custard and then some type of chocolate and like coconut. But it's better coconut than in Bounty. So like Nanaimo Bars. S tier. Maynard's Fuzzy Peaches. Fuzzy Peach is A. It's for sure A. They make my teeth hurt because I can't stop eating them. And then my teeth hurt. Poutine is next. As a vegetarian, poutine is the only time I will eat anything with gravy on it. I will go and order a poutine at a restaurant. I know it isn't vegetarian, but sometimes the Canadian really comes out in ya. The place I go to uses local cheese curds. It's so good. It's so good. Poutine is the best. Next is Sour Patch Kids. If I was a kid, this would have been S tier, absolutely. But as sour things start to hurt to eat, I'm gonna put it in C tier. Sour Patch, I think, is going C because it hurts to eat them. They taste good, and we've got Fuzzy Peaches up in A already, so it's fine. Oh, and then Swedish Berries, they've gotta go B because they're basically the same as Bigfoot, but just a different packaging, so they have to be on the same tier as Bigfoot because they're the same candy. Next is Thrills Gum, and I don't know who their audience is, but Thrills Gum tastes like a bar of soap. It's only sold at Dollarama. That's the only place I've ever seen it. And I feel like their audience is children that see purple and they're like, that's gonna taste fruity, I want that. And or the weird uncles that want to have their kids, their nieces and nephews, taste soap and then make a funny face. And it's awful. I've had it once in my life because someone gave it to me and was like, hey, you want a piece of gum? And like that memory stuck in my mind forever. 0 out of 10, absolutely. It's D tier for sure. Next is Timbits Cereal. This was suggested on Twitter. I tweeted earlier. I was like, what are some Canadian foods? And someone sent me this. I haven't had the birthday cake flavor, but I have had the chocolate Timbits cereal, and it was Nesquik cereal. Like, it was just Nesquik. It was cereal. I'm not a big cereal person, so I'm gonna say that's C tier. Maynard's wine gums are the most bitter candy. Like, there's no reason they should taste like that, but they do. And I would like if they didn't. So that's gonna go D tier. And then Wonder Bar, it's just like an average chocolate bar. There's not much special to it. I think it's like peanut butter or something inside. It's fine. So there's my tier list. This is my tier list. Don't fight me. No, don't at me. Is that a good tweet?